Hi, I'm John Council. I'm a senior reporter with Texas Lawyer newspaper, and welcome to the August 15th, 2008 edition of Reversed and Remanded. My guest today is Matt Orwig. Matt is the managing partner of the Dallas office of Sonnenschein, and he's also a former U.S. attorney for the Eastern District of Texas. And because he's had both of those jobs, or he still has one of them, I want to talk to him about two topics in our paper this week. The first is about the Marshall docket in the Eastern District of Texas. T. John Ward, who is probably one of the most popular judges in Texas, and if not the United States, when it comes to patent cases. Our story is kind of about how he's almost a victim of his own success, because he created a so-called rocket docket where you can get patent cases to trial fairly quickly, but now that's not happening as much, Matt. It used to be get into his court and have a trial within a year, and now it's like nearly over 3 years before you can get more in.
Over 3 years.
And Matt, is that going to affect a lot of practice in Texas? I mean, there's so many firms that have come to Texas to take advantage of the Eastern District docket. Is that going to jam y'all up at Sonnenschein?
Well, I think we'll do fine. There will be some firms that will be pretty dramatically affected, but what we've done at Sonnenschein is really build a national practice. And so the business in the Eastern District or any other district will come up, it'll go down, but there's going to be an overall increase of patent work. And so those who have the experience and the expertise, they're going to have a national practice. And I think the people who are going to be hurt the most will be people who do a very local practice as local counsel there.
So like the smaller firms in Marshall and Texarkana, you think, are probably going to be hit by this?
I think they could be affected, but you know, they have a lot of cases in the pipeline, and I think there's literally years of work left in those cases that have already been filed, and people have been very busy. They've done very well in those cases. And there are a lot of folks there who are just very good lawyers who were doing something else before patent cases came along.
Right.
And they'll be doing something else and doing well when the number decreases.
Because there's so many cases going to Marshall now, and the patent filing rules are so liberal, I mean, do you think that people are going to file other places? I mean, Beaumont, Texarkana, Arkansas, I mean...
Well, you know, there's a lot of reasons why the Eastern District of Texas has been so popular for filing cases. Very good judges, knowledge of the law, and one of the main things is the fastness of the docket, which is very important in technology cases.
Right. Because
a generation of some of these technologies is a very short period of time. So I think that is going to affect a number of cases that are filed. I think first we'll probably see, and it's just a guess, but I think first we'll probably see more of a spreading throughout the Eastern District of Texas, places like Lufkin, Beaumont, Tyler, Texarkana, and yesterday I was at the new opening of the Plano new federal courthouse in Plano. So I think we'll see some in that division, the Sherman division, and then there will be other filings in other districts.
Yeah, yeah. Do you think there's any chance that this sort of slow down the rocket docket and kind of just the fact that there's so many cases in Marshall will spur Congress to pass patent reform?
You know, everybody has said for years that we're right on the cusp of big reform, and it's never happened. Right. So I've always been a little bit skeptical, even when people said it's very likely. I don't see that happening, but I think everybody will adjust fairly well if it does.
I'm against patent reform. You know why? Because it brings lots of lawyers to Texas who buy our newspapers. All right, including Sonnenschein. All right, Matt. Second issue in our paper this week is a sort of a feature story that I wrote about specialty courts. There's a fairly new one in Dallas that deals only with people that are on probation for felony prostitution. And this has become a big trend in Texas and across the nation, where instead of, just putting people on probation, jerking them back when they violate. You have a judge that talks to them and meets with them weekly and monitors them, and kind of the end effect is that it reduces recidivism. And Matt, when you were a U.S. attorney, I guess once you get a federal indictment, there's not a whole lot of rehabilitation that goes on. But I mean, do you see that this is something that we're going to continue to do in Texas? Or is it going to be one of those trends that sort of fades away?
No, I think it is something. The prostitution courts I don't know anything about, but the drug courts certainly. And no one has accused me of being a bleeding heart before.
Ever.
But I certainly think that the problem in so many of these drug prosecutions is that we're locking up addicts.
Right.
And we can't prosecute our way out of this problem. And drug courts in general have had a lot of success in reducing recidivism, some more than others, but I think that's going to be fine-tuned over time, and I think that's going to be a very effective and efficient use of taxpayer dollars as opposed to locking people up.
I mean, we're such a law and order state. Do you think that across the board that we're seeing an attitude change and on the prosecution side about this type of rehabilitation? Is it pretty well ingrained now?
Well, I think people are generally, pretty focused taxpayers, and people in general are pretty practical.
Right.
And if there's something presented that works better than prosecuting, and as I said, imprisoning addicts and taking that prison space when it could be used for something else, I think people are going to warm to it very much. And the fact that we've seen such an increase in the number of those courts in the last few years, I think shows that there is community support for it.
Great. All right, it's now time for me to put Matt in what I like to call the witness stand. I'm going to ask him some absolutely ridiculous questions and see what he has to say.
Okay.
All right, Matt. When you're sitting in your big new office at Sonnenschein, do you ever think, man, I could really go for an old-fashioned bank robbery trial right about now?
I do. I love bank robbery cases, a lot of prosecution, but I certainly love what I'm doing now.
Yeah.
And it's a great firm and a great opportunity to build an office, and we've had some good success at that. And so I love this gig just as I loved the last one.
So your opponent is never the shifty-eyed bandit or something like that. Sonnenschein never runs across that type of defendant.
I mostly do civil cases and defendants who are innocent. So
okay.
That's what I do now.
They're always innocent. Okay. Second one, Matt. Is there any chance you'll lose the Sonnenschein gig if you refuse to go after Democrats?
Throughout my career as U.S. Attorney, I was very apolitical, and I will continue to be so in this job.
Oh, good. All right. Glad that Sonnenschein is so understanding. All right. Matt?
And let me just say on a more serious note, we are a very bipartisan firm. We have a significant lobbying practice in Washington, a public policy practice.
You gotta be.
And I'd say we tilt Democrat to Republican about 60-40.
Oh, okay. All right. Here's a completely legally relevant question. Why is beach volleyball an Olympic sport?
That one I simply cannot answer.
Okay, well then, why couldn't marathon deposition taking be an Olympic sport too?
Well, it could be. And the problem with that is just the viewership. There's not a lot of people who'd be interested in it.
I'd watch it. I think it'd be more interesting than volleyball, but that's just me. All right, Matt, thanks for coming over.
Thank you.
Okay.
Appreciate it.